this morning. People in Turkey, the police are close to identifying the gunman they say killed a total of 39 people last weekend in that terror attack that took...
What if your New Year's Eve celebration suddenly turned into a nightmare? In the heart of Istanbul, a figure dressed as Santa Claus walked into a packed nightclub and opened fire with an AK-47. Over 100 people were injured in the chaos, but how many lost their lives? Who was behind this horrific attack, and how did they escape? Stick around as we dive into the shocking details of the Reina nightclub that left the world in disbelief. 1. A celebration turned into a nightmare. It was supposed to be a night of joy and celebration as people gathered from around the world to ring in the new year. The atmosphere was electric inside Istanbul's Reina nightclub. The music thumped, lights flashed, and laughter filled the air as partygoers raised their glasses, cheering for new beginnings. The countdown to 2017 had everyone on the edge of their seats, eagerly awaiting the start of a fresh chapter. But as the clock struck 1:15 a.m., that joy turned into unimaginable horror. In the blink of an eye, the sound of music was drowned out by the deafening crack of gunfire. The shots rang out, echoing through the club, shattering the festive mood. People who had just moments ago been celebrating the new year were now screaming, ducking, and scrambling to escape. Panic set in as the shooter moved through the crowd, his weapon cold and unrelenting. What was supposed to be a moment of celebration, for many turned into... The nightmare had only just begun. 2. Santa Claus with an AK-47. The figure in the doorway was unmistakable. A man dressed in the bright red suit of Santa Claus with a large white beard. But this was no cheerful holiday visitor. No, this man was carrying an AK-47. It was the perfect disguise who would suspect a jolly figure associated with giving and joy to be a cold-blooded killer. The moment he stepped into the club, there was no mistaking the intent. He opened fire, shooting without hesitation. The music, once so vibrant, was now drowned out by the terrifying sound of gunfire. People tried to flee, diving under tables and behind chairs. But the shooter, dressed as Santa, moved through the crowd with calm efficiency, gunning down anyone who crossed his path. The irony was sickening. Santa Claus, an embodiment of warmth and happiness, had become the agent of terror. It was a chilling reminder that evil could wear any face, even the one we associate with joy and generosity. 7 minutes of terror. What followed were 7 agonizing minutes of terror. In those brief moments, it felt as if time had slowed down. For those trapped inside Reina, every second stretched into eternity. Gunshots continued to tear through the club, with bodies hitting the floor. People screaming in horror and desperate cries for help filling the air. The assailant didn't show mercy. His weapon was a tool of destruction, tearing through the lives of people who had only moments ago been enjoying a night of revelry. People rushed to escape, some climbing over each other, others frozen in fear, unsure of where to run or how to survive. For 7 minutes, the Reina nightclub became a war zone. The carnage would forever haunt those who survived it. In those 7 minutes, more than 180 rounds of gunfire were unleashed. By the time the shots stopped, 39 people lay dead and the lives of countless others were shattered. 4. Chaos at Reina, panic and escape into the Bosphorus. Outside the nightclub, the city was in chaos. People who had been lucky enough to escape the nightclub were now fleeing down the streets of Istanbul, their faces filled with terror. Some ran on foot, others in cars, but all shared the same goal: to escape the nightmare they had just lived through. The Bosphorus, the strait that divides Europe and Asia, was no longer a beautiful sight. It had become a symbol of escape, The cold waters, once a peaceful part of Istanbul's landscape, now served as a way to get away from the madness. Some who fled toward the Bosphorus jumped into the water, hoping the icy waters would offer them safety. But the cold was unforgiving. Some swimmers, injured or in shock, struggled to stay afloat. The terror didn't end when they escaped the nightclub it followed them. Meanwhile, the police had arrived in force, but the damage had been done. The city of Istanbul was on edge. The Reina nightclub would forever be marked as a place where happiness had turned into horror. 5. The identity revealed: Abdulkadir Masharipov. For days, Istanbul was on high alert as authorities worked tirelessly to uncover the identity of the shooter. Rumors spread and people speculated, but the truth was more chilling than anyone could have imagined. The killer was finally identified as Abdulkadir Masharipov, a 34-year-old Uzbek national with ties to ISIS. The revelation shocked the world. How could someone with seemingly no connection to the victims, who was living as an outsider in Turkey, be responsible for such an atrocity? But as investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a chilling network of connections to the global terror group. Masharipov had been sent to Turkey by ISIS, part of a larger plan to strike fear into the heart of the country. The shooter's calm and calculated approach, even in the face of the massacre, suggested he had been trained for something like this. His identity, once revealed, became a symbol of the deepening global threat posed by terror groups. 6. A city in pursuit: the intense manhunt for the shooter. The manhunt for Masharipov was nothing short of intense. The streets of Istanbul, still in shock from the shooting, were now filled with tension. Masharipov had fled, but the city was determined to bring him to justice. Every corner, every building, every alley was scoured by law enforcement. The entire nation held its breath as authorities promised that they would find him. It wasn't just Istanbul's police that were involved. This manhunt had become an international effort. As the days passed, the pursuit stretched beyond the borders of Turkey. Masharipov had to be caught, not just for justice, but to prevent further terror. The Turkish authorities were relentless, their every move aimed at locating the fugitive before he could strike again. With each passing day, the pressure grew. The public demanded results. The police, however, knew that bringing him to justice wasn't just about one man. It was about sending a message that terrorism would not be tolerated. 7. The global toll: victims from all corners of the world. As the true scope of the massacre became clear, the world mourned. The victims of the Reina nightclub shooting came from all corners of the globe: Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Russia, India, Canada, Lebanon, and many more. They had come to Istanbul for one reason: to celebrate the new year. Instead, they became victims of a global terror plot. The deaths were not just numbers on a page. They were mothers, fathers, and sisters. They were people with hopes, dreams, and plans for the future. The tragedy of Reina wasn't just about the attack on Turkey. It was an attack on the world. The victims were from countries around the globe, showing that terrorism doesn't care about borders. It destroys lives no matter where they are from. 8. Justice delivered. Masharipov faces life sentences. The world watched as Abdulkadir Masharipov was finally captured after a 16-day manhunt. His arrest brought a sense of relief to many, but it also came with the heavy weight of the lives lost. Masharipov would be tried for his crimes, facing multiple life sentences for his role in the Reina. But for the families of the victims, the trial was not a solution. The damage had already been done. How could any sentence truly make up for the pain they had endured? Justice was important, yes, but it could never bring back their loved ones. For them, The trial was just another painful reminder of their loss. 9. The aftermath. A nation grieves and recovers. In the aftermath of the attack, Turkey found itself in mourning. The streets of Istanbul, once filled with celebration, were now somber and quiet. The Reina nightclub, once a symbol of luxury and entertainment, would never be the same. But amidst the grief, something remarkable happened. The people of Turkey showed resilience. The city of Istanbul came together, stronger than ever, determined to rebuild and recover. The survivors of the Reina massacre became symbols of hope, proving that no matter how hard life gets, the human spirit can endure. The community, though shattered, found strength in one another, refusing to let the actions of a few define their future. 10. Security lessons learned. A call for vigilance. The Reina massacre sent shockwaves through the world, forcing countries to rethink their security measures. Turkey wasn't the only country affected. Every nation felt the impact of the attack. The world realized that terrorism could strike anywhere, at any time. Governments around the world responded by increasing security at public events and in crowded places. Vigilance became the priority. But more than just physical security, the attack underscored the importance of being vigilant in all aspects of life, staying aware of threats, protecting each other, and standing together against terror. The tragedy at Reina was a painful reminder that while we can never predict when an attack will happen, we must always be prepared to defend against it, and we must never let fear stop us from living our lives.